I didn't want to admit it, but the wave of fear was crashing, and crashing hard. Everywhere I go, I try to stay in the background, and that great warm and breezy park I told you about was the perfect place to spend the day, and maybe the night. But there was this man there. He had thin hair, combed back. He was a little panicky, but not bad, and was of medium height. Just your average middle-aged Joe. He wasn't homeless. He was wearing businessman pants and shoes and sunglasses and was clean-shaven. At first I thought he was just enjoying an afternoon in the park, but then I realized he wasn't really reading his newspaper. He was watching the playground. I kept a sly eye on him. He gave me the creeps like I haven't felt in ages. And I made up my mind that nothing was going to stop me from tackling him if he tried to snatch a kid. I'd go down in a splat of gypsy glory if I had to, but there was no way I was going to let him touch a kid. I was keyed up for over an hour because of this guy. He brought back all these feelings of being little and vulnerable and scared and confused, of gaping wounds in the heart that no one can see. But then he put down his newspaper and left. And you know how the DARE people came to school and told us that drugs burn holes in your brain or make you paranoid or have flashbacks or, do permanent damage to your head? Well, after that guy left, I started worrying that maybe my experiences have been like drugs to my brain. Or maybe they're making me have flashbacks or paranoia, or they've permanently branded my brain with suspicion. The guy was probably just enjoying the beautiful afternoon, remembering the carefree joy of his youth by watching kids frolic in the park. After a few minutes, I went over and got his newspaper, which is how I found out what day it is. I actually sat on his bench for a while, but it felt kind of creepy, like he was still there. And so I went to another bench where I wrote in this and read the paper. But I still had that creepy feeling, so I left the paper behind and moved again. And that's when I noticed someone lurking in the shadows of the trees behind the bench where I'd been sitting. It was the same man, and he wasn't watching the kids on the playground. He was watching me. I took off quick, and I thought I ditched him, only when I came out of the grab-and-go mini-market, which I'd done just that, and was all keyed up about it because all I'd gotten was a protein bar, and it hadn't exactly been easy. I saw him in a car in the parking lot. I almost pointed and shouted, "That guy is stalking me, you hear me? If I wind up there, it'll be because of that guy right there." But I didn't do that because people would have taken one look at me and thought, deranged homeless girl, probably on drugs. And so what would you have done, Miss Leone? Called the cops? Well, it's not exactly an option for me, is it? So what I did was go behind his car to write down his license plate in this thing. That way, if he did snatch me and murder me, there'd be a trail of evidence. But guess what? He didn't have a license plate. Isn't that great? Cops will interrogate me for walking down the sidewalk, but they let a guy like him prowl around without a license plate. Maybe he has one that he props in the back window when he's not in pervert mode, but there's no plate when I looked. There was no plate when I looked. So I went up to the driver's side window and shouted, "I'm telling the cops about you, buddy. You're a 1-6 sucker and you better leave me alone." Then I moved away quick before he could snatch me. He didn't follow me out of the parking lot, and I didn't see his car anymore, but I've been nervous about it all night. Right now I'm holed up in a Burger King, thinking how if he snatches me, no one will know, no one will care. There's not a single soul in this entire universe who will care.